Eli was the kind of kid who didn't make much noise. He liked drawing little dragons in the corners of his notebooks, stacking his pencils by color, and sitting close to the window where the sunlight made his desk feel a little warmer. Most of the time, he went unnoticed. His backpack was too big for his frame, and his sneakers had one loose sole that flapped a little when he walked too fast. He didn't care. His mom had glued it back together twice already. "It's got personality now," she'd said, smiling. That made him laugh. She walked him to school every morning, holding his hand until they turned the corner near the crosswalk. There she'd let go, quietly understanding that 10-year-olds preferred not to be seen holding their mom's hand. She'd wear the same soft cardigan, hair tied up in a bun, face free of makeup, and shoes that looked like they'd walked through 100 rainy days. The other moms drove shiny cars and wore perfume that followed them into the building like a second shadow. Lana didn't. She parked farther away, sometimes walked all the way, and didn't speak much during pickup. To the other kids, she didn't look like much. That morning, Mr. Devlin, Eli's fifth-grade teacher, stood in front of the whiteboard and announced something exciting. "Career Day is this Friday. If any of your parents want to come in and talk about what they do, we'd love to hear from them." A buzz swept through the classroom. Kids started calling out, "My dad's a dentist. My mom owns a spa. My uncle's a pilot." Eli hesitated, then softly raised his hand. Mr. Devlin smiled. "Yes, Eli?" "My mom designs shoes," he said quietly, "for, luxury brands." The room fell into a strange silence. Then came the first laugh, sharp and dismissive. "Your mom?" one girl said, pointing at Eli's taped-up sneaker. "She doesn't even wear nice shoes." Another boy snorted. "What, like she makes Crocs or something?" More laughter. Eli shrank back in his seat. He looked down at his sketch of a dragon, now curling around the edge of his desk like it wanted to disappear too. The teacher didn't say anything, just moved on to the next hand. Eli didn't say much on the walk home. The streets were quiet, and the sun had started to dip behind the rooftops, casting long, sleepy shadows along the sidewalk. His mom walked beside him, her steps steady and soft, a grocery bag swinging lightly at her side. He kicked a pebble as they waited at the crosswalk, the plastic bag of his backpack rustling with every shuffle of his shoes. His mom looked down at him, sensing something, but didn't push. She never did. "Everything okay at school?" she asked gently. He nodded. The lie felt heavy in his throat, but it was easier than saying, "They laughed at me. They laughed at you." Back home, she unlocked the door to their small second-floor apartment. The place always smelled faintly of cinnamon and pencil shavings, a mix of her quiet baking habits and the dozens of sketchbooks that lived in every drawer, corner, and coffee table. The walls were simple, decorated not with framed art, but with mood boards, swatches of suede, faded magazine cutouts, bits of inspiration pinned in imperfect, beautiful chaos. She set the groceries down and slipped off her shoes, placing them carefully by the door. Eli wandered to the living room and dropped his backpack with a thud. From the corner of her eye, Lana watched him. His shoulders slumped. Something had happened. Still, she said nothing. Instead, she reached for her sketchbook and a pencil, the one she always kept sharpened to a precise tip. She sat at the dining table, pulled the curtains slightly to catch the last of the daylight, and started to draw. Her fingers moved with instinct, like they had muscle memory for beauty. Soft lines, arches, angles. A new silhouette of a heel began to take shape, subtle and strong. Eli stood in the doorway watching her. For a moment, he just stared. Then he finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. "They laughed at me," he said, "when I told them what you do." Lana's pencil stopped. "They don't believe you're a designer," he continued, eyes on the floor. "They said, if you were, you wouldn't dress like you do, or live like we do." The silence stretched, but it wasn't cold, just full. Lana set the pencil down, folded her hands, and looked at her son with quiet eyes. "I see," she said. No anger, no surprise, just understanding. "They think you're just a mom," he added apologetically. Her smile came slowly. "There's no such thing as just a mom." He looked at her then, really looked, at the hands that had fixed his backpack zippers and drawn entire collections in the dark, at the woman who never boasted, never asked for recognition, just worked and loved and gave. "Do you want me to come?" she asked. "To career day?" He hesitated, then slowly he nodded, and that was all she needed. "I'll be there," she said softly. "Let them laugh. They won't tomorrow." Friday came faster than Eli expected. The classroom buzzed with noise and excitement. Parents in pressed shirts and shiny shoes filed in one by one, carrying poster boards, laptop slideshows, even boxes of giveaways. Some brought pastries. One dad handed out personalized pens. Kids crowded the desks, trading snacks and whispers, showing off whose parent did what. Eli sat near the back, his hands folded tightly on his lap, thumb tracing the groove of his pencil over and over again. The teacher clapped twice. "Okay, everyone, let's welcome our first guest." A man in a crisp suit stepped forward and launched into a presentation about real estate investment portfolios. The next mom talked about managing social media for celebrities. Then came a software engineer, a dentist, and a brand manager who passed out sample-sized perfumes. Still, Lana hadn't arrived. Eli's chest tightened. Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe she got nervous. Maybe the comments on Wednesday stuck harder than she let on. He couldn't blame her if she didn't come. He barely wanted her to anymore. Not because he wasn't proud, but because he couldn't bear seeing her dismissed again. But just as the teacher began to glance at the door with quiet doubt, it opened with a soft click. In walked Lana. No dramatic entrance, no perfume trailing behind her, no heels, just her soft gray sweater, black slacks, and the same scuffed sneakers that everyone recognized from the morning walk. Some kids started whispering. A couple of them smirked. Eli shrank slightly in his chair. But then, she placed her leather portfolio case on the front table. The room quieted, not out of respect, but curiosity. She unzipped it carefully, her hand steady. Then she pulled out the first shoe. It was a high heel, sleek and sculptural, the kind you see on red carpets and in magazine ads. Black patent leather with a bold crimson sole. Then came another, a strappy sandal with crystal accents, its arch curved like a dancer's back. Then a pair of athletic cleats with gold laces and a player's initials embroidered on the side. Finally, a ballet flat so delicate it looked like it belonged in a museum, not a closet. One by one, she placed them on the table like artifacts, like stories. The kids leaned forward now, eyes widening. That's from Vogue," someone whispered. "My mom has those," said another, pointing. The teacher blinked, mouth parting slightly. Eli lifted his head slowly, watching. And Lana? She didn't say a word at first. She simply stood there in silence, letting the shoes speak, letting who she was unfold, one soul at a time. Lana looked out at the class, calm as ever. No slideshow, no flashy props, just a table of shoes and the quiet conviction of someone who had spent years letting her work speak louder than her name. "I designed shoes," she began, her voice soft but unmistakably sure. "But you've probably never seen my name on any of them." She held up the black heel first. "This one was worn at the Cannes Film Festival last spring. I made it for a woman who wanted to feel like she was walking on air, even in stilettos." She turned it slowly, revealing the delicate arch, the way the heel curved like a question mark. "This one," she said, holding up the sandal, "was a custom design for a singer on her world tour. She wanted something elegant, but strong, like her." The class was silent now. Even the kids who'd snickered before were frozen, eyes fixed on the shoes, on her. The teacher took a slow step forward, as if approaching something sacred. "And these cleats," she said, holding them up, "were designed for a World Cup athlete. He didn't want flash. He wanted legacy. His father's initials are stitched inside the tongue, where only he can see them." She let that hang in the air a moment. One student raised their hand. "Why don't they put your name on the shoe?" Lana smiled, just barely. "Because that's not what matters. I don't need the spotlight. I design for the people who wear them. I build from the background." She paused. Her eyes found Eli, sitting up now, taller, stronger. Real design isn't about showing off, she said. It's about seeing someone, really seeing them, and giving them something that helps them feel like their best self, whether that's on a stage, a field, or a sidewalk. Another hand shot up. So, how do you know what to make? I listen, she replied. I watch. I study the way people walk, what makes them feel powerful, comfortable, brave. I spend hours sketching a curve that feels effortless, a strap that hugs but doesn't hold back, a soul that remembers your weight and adjusts. She glanced at the teacher, whose face had softened completely. You've probably seen my shoes in magazines, on billboards, or even in your own closets. You just didn't know they were mine. Another pause. And then, I don't need you to remember my name, she said, but I hope you remember this. Sometimes the people who look the most ordinary are the ones shaping what you see every day. The classroom was completely still. Even the air felt heavier, filled with the quiet electricity of truth being revealed. Eli's heart thudded in his chest, not with nerves, but with something brighter, pride. One student leaned toward another and whispered, she's like famous. And Eli? He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. His mom was standing there in worn sneakers and a quiet voice. Yet the whole room was listening now. Not because she demanded their attention, but because she had earned it. After the bell rang and the kids began to gather their things, Lana quietly packed her shoes back into the leather case. No one rushed out. Not like usual. It was as if everyone instinctively knew they had just seen something they didn't quite have words for. The teacher approached her as the class thinned out. I had no idea, he said, his voice low and apologetic. That was remarkable. Lana nodded politely, zipping the case shut. Most people don't have any idea. That's okay. She didn't offer more. She didn't need to. As they left the classroom, Eli walked beside her, his steps lighter now. He held his backpack with one hand, the other swinging at his side like a boy who had been quietly carrying shame and had just been allowed to set it down. Did you like it? She asked, glancing at him. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, I think you're cooler than the astronaut's dad. Lana laughed. This math. Not a loud laugh, but a real one. The kind that lived in her chest and had been waiting to come out. At home, the apartment felt a little different. Not bigger, not shinier, just fuller somehow. Eli sat at the kitchen table doing homework, and Lana returned to her desk where a new sketch waited, a concept she'd been working on for weeks, a blend of streetwear and elegance, something young, something bold. Above her desk were Polaroids, dozens of them, not of people, but of feet, feet stepping out of limousines, across stages, onto fields, in shoes she had drawn by hand, tested for balance, crafted with care. Shoes that had crossed the world, even though she hadn't. A breeze came through the open window. Light filtered across her desk, across her sketchbook, across the little message Eli had written on a sticky note beside her mug of tea. You're the real designer. I'm glad you're my mom. Lana placed her hand on it for a second, just rested it there. In the next room, Eli adjusted his chair, then peeked over at her. What are you designing now? He asked. She looked up and smiled. Something strong, she said. Something quiet. Like you. He grinned, then returned to his math homework, his chest puffed just slightly, as if his spine had found a new way to hold itself upright. And the camera of the story zoomed out. A modest apartment, a mother with a pencil, a boy who had once been laughed at, and the unshakable truth that now echoed inside him. Sometimes the world just needs time to catch up to the worth it couldn't see. If you felt the strength in Lana's silence, if you've ever been underestimated for how you looked or where you came from, tell us in the comments how you rose above it. Like, comment, subscribe for more stories like this, because sometimes the loudest power walks in quietly and never has to say, I told you so.